Hi for the second time and welcome back to MJD Cooks. Today we'll be making boiled dumplings. For today's cook, you'll need all-purpose flour, fresh coriander, lemon, dried shiitake mushrooms, garlic, onion, ginger, cabbage, spring onions, some ground pepper, salt, and sesame seeds. For the dipping sauce, you'll also need chilies of your choice, soya sauce, and apple cider vinegar. So to start, you're going to take your dried shiitake mushrooms and let them soak in some boiling water. This will make the shiitakes nice and soft and easy to work with. Give them a quick stir, and then you're going to want to cover them with plastic wrap. Next, we'll be moving on to our filling, the core ingredient of which is cabbage. A good starting amount is around 200 grams, which will need to be finely chopped. Cabbage then needs to be moved to a bowl where we're going to salt it and let it sit for a while. Basically, this gives the salt a chance to draw out any of the excess moisture in the cabbage. It is very important with this cook that the first two steps you take are to soak the shiitake mushrooms and salt the cabbage. Moving on to the rest of our filling, we're starting with our two best friends, garlic and ginger. And same as last time, you'll just want to peel the garlic and ginger and grate it finely. Once grated, the garlic and ginger will go into a separate mixing bowl, as will every ingredient of our filling. Next, we're going to take about half an onion. This will also need to be finely chopped. The rest of the filling is handled in a very similar way. Pretty much everything just gets finely chopped and thrown into the bowl. When you're done with the spring onions, it'll be a decent time to go and check on your mushrooms. So you'll just take the mushrooms out of the water, and if they're soft enough, you should be able to cut them into slices. You can buy dried shiitakes in slices or as whole mushrooms. The ones I got were whole mushrooms, so what generally needs to happen is they'll need to be soaked again as slices rather than the entire mushroom to make sure that they're soft all the way through. Next ingredient for the filling is coriander. Halfway through chopping the coriander, I saw this little guy, and it made me realize that in trying to make my dumplings delicious, I'd also destroyed his home. His name is Julio, and I'm going to take some time to save Julio here. Be free, Julio. By the time you're done saving your own Julio, the cabbage should be ready for the next step. And basically what you're going to do is squeeze out the moisture that the salt has pulled to the surface. The cabbage can then be added to the rest of your filling. Season the mix with some salt and pepper. And just a squeeze of lemon to balance out all those flavors. Once you're done with the rest of your filling, your shiitake should be entirely soaked through and ready for use. They'll just need to be diced finely before being added to the filling mix. And that's your filling done. Next, we're going to move on to the dipping sauce, which is pretty simple. It's just soya sauce, apple cider vinegar, and a chili pepper. We're going to start with about 2 tablespoons of soya sauce. Next, we'll add 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. And then as much chili as you'd like. I used half a pepper for this. Finely diced, of course. After that, we're going to sprinkle some sesame seeds on top, and I didn't film this part, but I also added some of the leftover coriander. Next, we're going to move on to our dumpling dough. Make sure the surface you're using is nice and clean. You'll need about 200 grams of flour, which you can just pour directly onto the counter. After that, we're taking 110 grams of hot water and kneading it into the flour. The measurement is done in grams and not milliliters. After you've cleaned everything up, you're going to want to dust your counter with some flour so you can roll out your dough. You'll need to roll the dough into kind of like a long, thin sausage, and then you'll want to cut it into 8 to 10 equal sized pieces. To make our dumpling wrappers, we're going to take one of these balls, squish them slightly flat, and then roll them out with a rolling pin. Now, I'm not the best at this. They should be as close as you can get to perfectly circular. Depending on the size of your wrappers, you'll be filling them with either a teaspoon or a tablespoon of filling. There are many different ways to seal the dumpling. I tried to pleat mine and they ended up looking kind of okay. You can use whatever method you prefer, and hopefully yours are a little bit prettier than mine. While you're filling your dumplings, you'll want to get a pot of water on to boil. And then you're just going to pop them in one by one. If you've made more than 10 total, you'll only want to cook around 8 to 10 at a time. Cooking time is anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes, depending on how cooked you like your stuffing. This is more variable for vegetarian dumplings. If you're using a meat filling, you'll probably want to cook it for around 8 to 10 minutes. While the dumplings are cooking, I like to toast up some sesame seeds to use as a garnish. Take your toasted sesame seeds and pop them in your pestle and mortar. I still had some pepper in mine, which is fine. You can mix it with whatever's in there if you want, or you can clean it out and just use sesame seeds. We're going to grind it up and then sprinkle the dumplings with sesame seed dust. Garnish with some coriander after that, and you're done.